Cryostasis complete.
Oh, God. 90 years in cryostasis will put a crook in your neck. Oh, Myles, how's it going?
Oh my god, is this my face? Oh, this 90-year shadow. I gotta find a razor soon.
Yeah, you're looking a little Jesus-y.
A little more than usual.
Yeah.
I was going for a Beatles look when I went in, and I came out looking like ZZ Top. This is disgusting.
I got every stiff bone. I just got pop them out. I gotta stretch.
Oh, you guys are telling me.
How you doing, Clayton?
I farted like 50 years ago, and it's been with me for a while. Those pods are airtight.
Is that what that smell is?
Yeah. Where are the showers?
I don't think we have enough water on this ship for that, Clayton. That's right.
Really? Is that what I've been smelling this whole time?
Oh, wait a minute. It's you. It's you. Oh, dude,
you're rank, man.
Yeah. Whew.
Oh, it is me.
Well, 90 years will do that to you. We can't blame a guy for that.
Smells like you took a bag of milk in there with you and it went sour 40 years ago.
We're all friends here, Myles. Come on now. We all gotta get along in the ship together.
Okay, well, sorry. That's just my personality, I guess.
We gotta be close to our destination soon, right? I mean, the ship should be arriving Earth any time now, I would think.
Well, bring up Mother. See what she has to say.
Mother, how long until we arrive to Earth?
Arriving to Earth in 90 years.
What? 90 years?
Did you guys? Which one of you guys set the autopilot before we got into the cryopod?
Clayton, I swear you said it for 90 years.
No, I thought you did.
Oh,
wait, what?
Hold on,
That actually says 90 minutes.
We've only been in there for 90 minutes.
Who was the idiot that did that?
So, yeah, does anyone know how to set this cryostasis thing to actually set it to 90 years?
Yeah, it's just like a microwave.
So you press power first,
Followed by potato.
the defrost.
Aren't we trying to frost ourselves, not defrost?
Oh, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't want to be in there for like a minute and a half and then,
All right,
basically cook.
okay, let's look at this. There's gotta be an easy way to do this.
Why don't you just ask Mother?
Oh, yeah, she's answered all our problems. Mother, how do you use the cryostasis?
Get back in your pods, and I will put you back in cryostasis.
Oh, see, it's that simple.
That was easy.
That's okay. Why
So
didn't we just do this before?
set it for 90 years, okay, Mother?
What are we going to look like after 90 years? That's what I'm worried
Yeah,
about.
you're right. We should just open up the bay door and just let ourselves float into space.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Well, I mean, it could be worse. We could run into some alien species that would jump on our face and
That
pregnate
would
us and
never
jump out of our
happen.
chest.
That would never
happen
happen.
in a million
You know it could!
No.
Mother, does an alien species exist that jumps on your face, impregnates you, and bursts out of your chest very violently?
And takes naps.
No.
There.
There you go.
Oh,
There you go.
okay,
It's all
yeah,
covered.
good point.
Oh, we're in the clear.
Okay.
Alright, so
In the pods.
Sit in cryostasis for 90 minutes. Suckers.
Hey, this is JPar, and you are listening to the We Promise Nothing Show. Today on the show, we have Myles, we have Clayton, and we have Taboo. But before we get things started, the music you're listening to right now has been brought to you by SoundsLikeAnEarful.com. If you need great music for your podcast, check them out. SoundsLikeAnEarful.com. Now today, we are going to review Alien, that's right, the 1979 horror sci-fi movie, directed by Ridley Scott. Yeah, so I'm sure many are very familiar with this. But before we get into that, say hello to the crowd, everybody.
What's up?
Hey, everybody.
Dabu, the only one introducing himself by his first name.
Again.
Hey, everybody, it was Clayton.
Wait, was it?
It was.
I thought I said that.
Show up, Myles. Come on.
This is Myles with you in spirit form, apparently.
Myles is phoning it in this week, folks.
Yeah, phone
Stereoptic
it in.
sound.
Had a rough night last night, guys.
This week, we are reviewing Alien, 1979 film, rated R. And if you haven't seen it before, folks, it's about a commercial crew that's aboard a vessel in deep space on its way home to Earth. When it receives an SOS signal and they go to investigate, they come across an unknown breed of alien species with horrifying results. It stars Tom Skerritt, Sigourney Weaver, Veronica Cartwright, Harry Dean Stanton, John Hurt, Ian Holm, and Yaphet Kotto, and others.
I like how you were confused by.
You got more and more
the
confused.
simplest word on the page. Koto? We have fun.
We had fun. All right, so let's go around the table, do first impressions. First impressions, run around the table. Go ahead, Clayton.
I'm starting? Okay, cool. My first impressions of this movie, I can't even remember.
Uno momento, por favor. All right, so before we get into our first impressions, I'm going to read off the facts and trivia from IMDb. So the blue laser lights that were used in the alien ship egg chamber were borrowed from the band The Who. The band was testing out the lasers for their stage show in the sound stage next door. The conceptual artist Ron Cobb, who came up with it was him who came up with the idea for the alien should bleed acid. This came about when Dan O'Bannon couldn't find a reason why the crew couldn't just shoot the alien with guns. Dead facehugger that Ash autopsies was made using fresh shellfish, 4 oysters, and a sheep kidney to recreate the internal organs. And they use that quite a bit in this movie to make their visual effects, to give it a nice gross look. And I appreciate practical effects.
A nice, gross effect.
Yes.
Those two words don't belong together.
No, it does,
Ash's
because
guts?
this movie needs to be gross.
What did they use to make Ash's guts?
Oh, I don't know.
Like milk and plastic bags or something?
I'm not sure.
Looks
That is
disgusting.
a spoiler
It looks
alert.
gross. Oh, what? No.
Okay.
Apparently this film takes place in the year 2122.
2112. They
Oh
could have
my
done
God.
it.
That was close. You said 2122?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have done
10 years off.
And H.R. Geiger, or you're going to disagree with me on this, you say it's pronounced Giger.
It's Giger.
You sure? I think it's Geiger.
Everyone should know it's pronounced Giger.
Geiger.
It's Giger.
Anyways, his original illustrations, the creature had eyes. For the movie, Geiger or Giger, however you want to pronounce it, insisted that the creature has no eyes, thus giving the bleak appearance of a cold and emotionless beast. And the creature is never filmed directly facing the camera due to the humanoid features of its face. Ridley Scott determined at all costs to dispel any notion of a man in a rubber suit. Filmed the beast in varying close-up angles of its ghastly profile, very rarely capturing the beast in its entirety. That definitely
That's
plays.
smart.
It is, and it actually plays to the movie. Okay, so Balaji Badeo, who plays the alien in the movie, was a graphic artist and was discovered at a pub by one of the casting directors. He was 7 feet 1 inches tall, with thin arms, just what they needed to fit into the alien costume. He was sent for Tai Chi and mime classes to learn how to slow down his movements. A special swing had to be constructed for him to sit down during filming, as he could not sit down on a regular chair once he was suited up because of the alien's tail. And a couple more for you. Ridley Scott did all the handheld camera work himself. And Ridley Scott cites 3 films as the shaping influence of this movie. Star Wars, the original, New Hope. 2001 Space Odyssey.
Love that movie.
And Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's for the treatment of horror.
Yeah.
And the Space Odyssey is a depiction of outer space. And I think Star Wars for obvious reasons.
Because it's...
So that's our facts and trivia. And we're going to get into first impressions. We're going to let you know what we think about this movie. And then later on, we're going to break it into a rating. And then later on, we're going to go to Spoiler Town.
Damn, he's using his jazz voice.
Yeah.
Jazz hands.
You know what? Dabu, you go first this time. Whoa. What's your first impressions of Alien? When did you see it the first time?
I'm going to be honest. I never saw it in theaters. I was too young at the time, I think, for me to have the benefit of that. My impressions going in, I expected this to be almost...
You weren't even born.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm born in 82, so clearly this was right around that time as I was just coming into being. I think when I first seen it, though, I must have been in my young teenage years, so I had the advantage of seeing it at from a perspective of I guess, appreciating horror for what horror can bring. And going into this movie, I felt like it was supposed to be a horror movie, not realizing that it had a science fiction storytelling to it. So I think that's what I loved about it. It was not quite what I expected, but my impressions going in were actually surpassed. So I think that was one of those nice surprises with this one.
All right, and for me, I've just seen it. I've seen it a long time ago when I was younger, but I've never seen it in its entirety. Just recently, I've watched it. So it probably wouldn't hit me the same way it would hit you, because it's more of a recent thing. But I definitely appreciate what they did with this movie. I have a few gripes, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But overall, I think it's a great thriller in space. Clayton.
You will recall, for those of you who are regular listeners, when we did our 5-star reviews, I gave Alien a 5-star. So, obviously...
Spoiler!
So, no, I'm not going to say anything about it, but obviously, this is...
So you're going to give it a 5-star today, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm going to...
Or are you going to Kingsglaive it?
No. No, I'm not going to Kingsglaive it.
Wow. So you blew your load already. You already told the audience what you were going to give it.
Well, I just pointed out...
Don't even talk for the rest of the show. Myles.
Why do we even do this?
So, like you guys, I didn't see it when it originally came out because I wasn't even an idea at that point. And I seen this in reverse order. I watched pretty much every other Aliens movie first, and then I watched this movie. So it was pretty interesting to see some, especially with Prometheus, there's a lot of ideas that from the 70s went all the way up till now, which is cool to see. So obviously there was a vision, and I like that. But like JPar, the movie had its gripes, and maybe I had higher expectations, I guess, going into it because of all the other movies that came first, and this is what started it. This is what created the franchise. So I set the bar really high when I watched this movie for the first time.
All right, so now we're going to get into our ratings, and we're going to give our ratings in without revealing too much. We're not going to flip into spoilers yet. So take it away, Dabu.
You know what? I mean, this one here, I get why you guys are saying that there are some gripes about it. I think it's just because it's more of a dated movie, the more I think of it. If I had to put a number out of 5, this I think would easily make a 3. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5, though. And I mainly say this because of the fact that this was the original the original idea of the xenomorph. And I have to appreciate that for what that is, because given the fact that this had no special effects or little to none in the first place, it had a budget that I didn't expect, yet didn't deliver something that was mediocre. It could have been a mediocre movie, given the funding that was given to Ridley in the first place. So having said that, and the fact that this is the original idea, I think it's a nice 3.5 out of 5.
All right. I was thinking I was going to give this a little bit lower, but now that I think about it more, actually I'm going to sit at about a 3.5, where you're at. And I feel like there's a lot of awesome practical effects in this movie, especially for the time, 79, and it's I find it is very suspenseful. It does draw you in. However, there's this ending scene that just irks me, and it's always going to drag this movie down because of it, and everyone goes on about how great this movie is, but everyone seems to forget about this one little scene, which I'm going to get into in my spoilers.
Okay, well, I'm obviously going to give this movie a 5. And... Well,
just kidding.
The thing is,
you can give it a 5.
I like the movie, like the same as you guys. You guys bring up all the same points. I really liked Giger's design for the aliens. I like the Nostromo. I like the Nostromo's crew. I like the story.
Nostromo is the ship that they're on.
Yeah, the ship, and it's just I just enjoy the material. Like, so that's why it gets a 5 for me, because everything just hits kind of the right way, and so my grading of it is a little bit skewed, because I just genuinely enjoyed it.
Did you see it when you were, like, how old were you when you saw it?
Oh, I couldn't.
Teens, you said?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So you saw it in high school?
But it was just, I don't know, they did a lot with, like you said, Brew, they did a lot with a little. They didn't have, there's no computer special effects, right?
Yes.
Just a guy in a suit, but Ridley kind of shoots around that idea, you know? And, yeah, it's a 5 for me.
So I can't give it a 5. I can't even give it a 3.5. I have to give it a 3, which is still a passing grade. So it's not that it's a terrible movie. It's got a lot of good ideas, especially since this is the first movie that set the tone. So everything you've seen going forward, they had to come up with something new. Like you said, it has the acid blood, the no eyes. Like all these are really cool concepts. Not to mention the builders and all that crap going forward. But like JPar was saying, it suffers from third act itis, where it got a little bit confusing, and I don't know, I got kind of taken out of the movie, and I found myself just getting distracted by weird little things, and unfortunately that's what you're left with at the end, right? You remember the ending the most because that's the last thing you see. So that's why it doesn't get that 3.5 for me. I had to take away 0.5 just because of that third act.
Yeah, I'd agree. That's the weakest part for me too. All right, so we're going to flip into Spoiler Town very soon, but before we do that, if you like reviews like this and you want to hear more, or if you just want to see our handsome faces, then check us out and check that ticket on Eastlink, because we are on another show called Late Night Ticket. You can check us out channel 10 at 10 on Monday, so that's 10 at 10s, and you can even check us out on demand. All right, so now we're going to flip into Spoiler Town. This is where we're going to really dig into the movie, what we like and what we really don't like about this movie. Dalpo, go first.
Well,
Oh my god.
I'm going to keep it simple because there's a lot of things I know you guys want to pick at with this one, and I'm looking at you, Myles and Jay, so
I'm looking at you, kid.
yeah.
He is looking at you, kid.
So
I don't have issues with it because I give it a 5 star.
you apparently have no issues at all.
Perfect movie.
Best
Perfect
movie ever.
movie.
Gone with the Wind.
We'll find out, though.
Yeah.
It's not your turn yet, so shut up.
Them fighting
But
words.
I do appreciate the fact, though, and I think I'm going to go back to my original comment. When I went into this movie for my first viewing, I do remember the strong impression like this was more of a horror movie than it was a science fiction movie. And having said that, the way the story built up not only had a pace of a horror movie, but it had the suspense, as you had pointed out. So for me, going into this movie, I just really appreciated that at every given moment I didn't know what to expect. And then building up to the ending. And I think that's partly the reason why I think a lot of us have issues with it. So having said this first, my favorite part of it is the suspense building. It's just simply said a beautifully done piece of work where the story has its own pace. Good or bad, I'll leave up to you to decide. But it was slow enough to say that I had a chance to appreciate all the little practical effects that they put in place. The very little amount of the xenomorph you got to see, or what you didn't see at all. The darkness every way. Every corner of the ship felt like it was just overly dark. It's not like the thing didn't have power, but it was always dark wherever you looked. So that was added to the effect that it felt like a horror movie.
Yeah, it was also helped with not being able to see the xenomorph directly on, which helped build the suspense.
Exactly. So again, going back to my idea of not knowing what to expect at any given moment, it was always present. On the other hand, what I didn't like was how the slow build didn't meet a climactic ending that I felt like was what we expected. And it's not to say the ending itself is what worries me, or what upset me, I should say. It was the fact that
What upset me?
it was slow enough, and then I got that ending, but it wasn't, the pow that I was expecting, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. It's just not enough impact, I guess, simply said. The ending did not end strongly for me, and I felt like they could have. And I don't know if I want to go as far as to picking at the ending, because I'm going to leave that to between you two.
Oh, okay.
But again, slow build didn't work well enough for me to get to a climactic.
So what's a scene that you liked that built up on the suspense?
You know what? I'm going to call it The Last Supper. Because it was the scene where they
Where they're all
finally
eating together.
where they're all eating, and you're expecting something dramatic to happen, but you didn't realize it was already happening because he was about to get the chest burster to reveal itself. I guess what we call it the chest burster reveal, right? So that was my favorite scene. It literally, you knew something happened to him, and then suddenly nothing was wrong. So in the back of my mind,
So
I'm
you
thinking,
kind of knew something bad was going to happen.
yeah, even though you weren't visually seeing something happen up until you literally did, which was, the chest burster arriving. So that was my favorite scene.
All right. So my favorite and least favorite. My favorite is definitely the practical effects. Like you said, and they played with the light. They used it perfectly so that way you couldn't see how bad the effects actually were. Because, let's be honest, it's still 79. They don't have the best effects. But with what they had, they did a lot, like you said. They use shadowing perfectly, and they use it to build the suspense, and that's what I really liked. And a particular scene that I like is when the facehugger is actually on Cain, right? Which I always thought was funny that the guy's name was Cain because he has the mark of Cain, kind of. Like if you ever read the old Bible story, or Cain and Abel, and he kills his brother, and he gets like the mark of Cain because God condemns him. So he has this thing on his face. It's like he has the mark of Cain on his face.
Yeah, and here I'm calling it the Last Supper, jokingly.
Yeah, there you go. Another religious
Biblical
reference.
references abound.
Yeah,
Well,
no kidding.
ironically, it's the search for the people that made
That
humans.
created
So
humans,
it kind of goes against all of what the Bible represents, too.
You're right. It pulls references out of the Bible, and you can compare it literally, and at the same time, it's going against the grain. So
Well,
yeah,
they
right.
don't tell you. You
Sold it
don't
for
find that out
grain.
until much later, though, right?
Yeah, you're right.
In the original
But
movie,
you see the builders. They see a petrified alien builder at the beginning of Alien. They're going through the ship, and he's sitting there, and he's like,
Oh, yeah, the dead-
carbon.
Yeah, the
Space
dead
gunner.
ship, the dead alien that's sitting at the
That's
helm
the
of the
first
ship.
thing they see when they go in the ship.
Yeah,
so
that's a really cool scene too.
that
Made me
builder
wanna know
reference.
more.
That's from the 70s, and it went all the way to
that is
now.
actually what inspired Prometheus. That
Yeah,
is that
for
scene.
sure.
There you go.
Anyways, so as I was saying, like I really enjoyed the suspense building up, and like I said, not directly shooting at the alien, having shadows, and then that one scene with Cain where the facehugger is on him, and they're trying to get it off of him, and they try cutting it. It just tightens its hold around his neck, like that right there. That's my favorite scene because holy fuck, that suspense. Like you got this alien thing on this guy's face, you don't know what the fuck it's doing. Like how do we get this off? It's like, oh nope, we can't do that because we're gonna kill him. Like oh fuck, how do we get rid of this thing? You know, that was such a great suspenseful scene, and that is like definitely my favorite. Really good with the suspense. And Giger's design of the aliens is awesome, so I enjoy that too. The least favorite, and this is where I'm really gonna dig in, it's that third act that Myles touched upon. It's like they had all this great suspense building up, Sigourney Weaver's trying to battle this thing, trying to outsmart this thing, and then she just kind of like, I don't know what happens, she like turns around, it's not there, she doesn't know where it is. And then she goes in the escape pod to get away from the ship because they're trying to blow up the ship, blow up the alien inside it so she can escape. Her and the cat, right? So yeah, so she's in there, and it seems like everything is fine. All right, this is where they give you the false sense of security, and then next thing she just like, what does she do? She goes to like, she takes her clothes off. She goes to like hit this thing or something, and then this hand comes out. The alien hand, it's like, what? The alien's on the ship. And then, instead of it coming out and attacking her, like it's been doing to all these crew members already, disemboweling them and killing them, who knows in what ways, right? Because we don't really see it on camera. We let our imagination do it. But this thing, what does it do? It's just like, leave me alone. I'm having a nap. And she gets to like slowly creep away and devise a plan to slowly get rid of this alien who clearly has no concern over her. It's like, whatever. It'll be
deal with her
fun.
later.
I'm
Yeah.
full and sleepy from eating all your friends, so I'm just gonna lay here and not do anything.
Yeah.
You know? What the hell? Why is this ferocious beast killing everything in sight, and all of a sudden it's just tired? That's my gripe with this fucking movie.
People are fatty.
You read into it as though it's tired. You keep calling it the
We
tired.
have to.
What
There's
better
no-
reason is it for it to be laying there doing fuck all when it's been on a massacre earlier?
It does look like it's having one hell of an uncomfortable sleep as well. Like
I will
I think
add.
we'll leave that to Clayton since he gave it a
Yeah,
5.
you know what? That's
He'll
a
be
good
able
point.
to defend
Your
it.
5 will have to defend that ending.
Yeah.
And then when we come back around to Myles, he'll hammer in the point that it was a sleepy alien.
well, I never said the movie was perfect. I just said I
Yes,
liked
you did.
I
You
just
said
said I
5
liked
stars.
it. I said I liked it. I said my grade was skewed.
All right. Well, it doesn't be considered a
let's
perfect
hear your
movie.
bell curve here.
Okay, so for me, the thing I like the most about this movie actually is the design of everything. Everything from Giger's alien to the way that the Nostromo actually is designed. If you look at the Nostromo itself, it's very claustrophobic. They show scenes where the crew are like in their flight seats and stuff like that. The ceilings are really low. There are screens everywhere. You can't just get up and run away like you could in like, I don't know, like a Star Wars ship or something. It's very human. It's very it's just very claustrophobic, which really adds to it later on down the line when
Yes.
things start to go bad.
Like when they're chasing the aliens through those tunnels and
It
stuff.
certainly
Yeah.
emphasizes the industrial aspect of
Exactly.
what the crew is. They're not
Industrial,
military.
Yeah. So the ship design was completely awesome. I love the pacing of the movie. I liked like you guys said, I like the suspense building, and everything. The movie, like if you think about it, like you're talking about the face hugger when you said it got onto his face, and then you're like, the tension was there because you're like, how do we get this thing off? And it's not like at this time, like now in 2017, like face hugger, xenomorph, they're practically name brands. Everybody knows what a face hugger is. But when you first saw that movie, it was the first one I saw.
That would have been super creepy.
It was the first one that I saw, and I didn't know what that thing was. What do you call it? Well, it's a face hugger, I guess, because that's what, like...
Yeah, that's
you know what
people
I mean?
just had
How do you
to
get it
name
off?
yeah.
And what's it doing to him? What the fuck is going on? Like, it's just, it was just crazy creepy. And the alien, too. The fact that you never see the alien in full shot, you're watching the screen, like, intently to see how much of it you can see. And Ridley always keeps it just out of the shot. Mm-hmm. So it's what you don't see. What you don't see is what scares you the most. Okay, favorite part for me, I think, and I just watched this movie again recently, is
I hope so.
is the sleeping alien. I love the sleeping alien.
You love it? Shut up.
No, it's
I
not
love
the sleeping.
it.
Okay, when after Ash's intentions are discovered and they beat him with a pipe or whatever and they splay his guts all over the place, he's laying there and they're asking him what he thinks about the alien. So now you have the
reveal of the
a being created by
the
man,
android.
a being created by man
Yeah.
expressing his admiration for a being created by aliens. It's like the alien and the android actually have more in common with each other than anybody else in that entire thing because they're both created beings.
I have a disagreement for you later.
Okay. Okay, you can... That's allowed? That's allowed.
It's allowed?
That's
what we're here for.
Worst part is, the sleeping alien. That really... You can try and muse on that as much as you want to, but it was a real, like...
It's like they ran out of ideas or money something.
Well, they needed to get her and the Xeno onto the shuttlecraft, and that was like, okay, so let's get there, but we can't have it kill her yet, and that part kind of falls apart. But the rest of the build-up throughout the movie was awesome, and I like the fact that like she's the sole survivor, and then she gets in the cryostasis pod and hopefully doesn't crap her pants.
I do want to defend a bit of that, though, before you decide to pick at it, though, Myles. In my mind, when I saw that last scene, and I get that everyone's kind of confused as to why the hell the xenomorph would be so chaotic throughout the rest of the film, and at the end of the film be suddenly taking a nap or taking it easy, like he's
taking it easy.
Here's the way I kind of see it: is if we give this xenomorph a certain level of intelligence, where it's beyond just instinctive, it's more a matter of, it could be partly instinctive, but anyhow, it's trying to survive. And if you're in any scenario where you hear sirens and lights going off, or simply said it understands that it's been exposed to the crew of the humans, and it now understands that it's being hunted, what's the first thing that a hunted creature does? It goes and finds cover. And at that point in the movie where Ridley Scott, Ripley was heading to the shuttle, in her mind, the alien's out of sight. It's somewhere else on the ship. What she doesn't seem to realize is that it put two and two together and realized, the ship is about to blow.
Yeah.
Hence the alarms are going off. So it goes to hide on the shuttle because it's smart enough to realize that the shuttle is the only method of which to safely escape said explosion or whatever. It doesn't know what's going to happen. Now Ripley ends up on the shuttle. She's about to casually just set off into space, I guess. Hence her guard is down. She's in her underwear and everything else, right? She's about to go to sleep in the cryostasis.
She's in her underwear a lot in these movies.
Great legs, though, right?
Yeah. Well, beautiful woman for her at her age that time, yeah. But anyway, I understand on a budget sense that the xenomorph cradled inside that little alcove, and it looked, if you really look at the design of the xenomorph and how it's displayed next to the pipes and everything else, the industrial aspect of the design, it blended in perfectly. Camouflage. It's hiding. Suddenly she goes to the control panel, does whatever, makes a bit of noise, and then the hand comes out. Okay, well, that's going back to horror. The shock of the hand suddenly showing up in front of her was enough to get the crowd, the audience shocked. And like her, we probably ran.
Well, the
so she
alien-
leaves the room instantly, not being able to go too far, but then suddenly comes to realize, oh, I have to figure out a way to get rid of this alien, otherwise I'm fucked. Well, that goes to the buildup of, I'm going to sleek into, the suit, because she suddenly realized the only way to get rid of it is to eject it from the...
Escape pod.
From the... open the hatch, right? Because
Right, from
she's
the
in an
escape pod.
escape. She's in an escape pod. She's in a
Yes.
shuttle.
What are we
No,
doing?
no.
Okay, but yeah, what you're saying though
You're
is
not,
that
I don't think you're on the same page as me. As well.
Yes,
Xeno-
I am.
Xeno
I don't know
can't
why
fly
you're
the shuttle,
disagreeing with me.
But it knows it needs to be on it when
She's
gets
in the
on
escape
it.
pod.
It knows
The
that
alien-
she's coming there.
The alien has no other place to go but to stay on that shuttle. Now, who's going to man the shuttle? Ripley.
Ripley.
The alien can't man the
Can't
shuttle.
fly it,
So it's depending on Ripley to survive that much longer, whether if it's an hour, 15 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
You're viewing it as though like this alien was sleeping. It looks like it's sleeping because it moves so very slow while getting out of the alcove. But the second it's on its own 2 feet, it's back to being a full-fledged threat.
Yeah, but doesn't know that it needs her to drive it.
Well, that's
Does
the
it
thing.
know
That's
that?
the only
But
way
see,
you
this
can
is where you're
explain
not
it,
giving
but-
the advantage of at least give it a little bit of intelligence, because now you're just simply saying it's a beast. These things have
Because
shown
it acted
level
like
of,
a beast. It didn't act any different.
And that's
It
why
reacts-
we have a problem with it. Is because 3/4 of the movie, it is a mindless killing machine. It just kills. You get in its path, you're dead. Period. And then all of a sudden, at the end, now it's got this resemblance of self-awareness and intelligence. And the way I took it is, it was leaving her alive to possibly have
Wow.
a face hugger,
However,
with
like
what?
to
Just-
spread the
their life
species
cycle
to.
is
like,
extremely
there's no way.
fast.
well, I don't know how like the queen appears or whatever. I don't know how that works exactly, but that's the only thing I could take away from it.
And I totally get that everyone's still confused even after the way I explain it, but I guess the way I went in and out of the movie, and maybe I filled in the blanks a little bit with my own,
maybe
my own
the scene was
theories.
just shot badly.
But to me,
And that's the problem.
That's kind of what I do with a lot of horror movies. I'm going to be blunt about. I go into a horror movie not knowing what to expect, and suddenly the ending occurs, and lo and behold, Freddy can't be killed, or Jason can't be
Yeah.
killed. That goes without saying. Do I have to be explained
Well, let's
why they can't be killed?
Be honest,
No,
it's a little bit
that's
different
just
than
the
a
way it is.
standard horror movie. This isn't really the same as like a Freddy or a
If we
Jason.
took
No,
your
no,
same
that's-
argument, though, if all of a sudden they could get hurt and they don't tell you why, and then they end the movie,
well,
Well, then
that's
it takes
bad movie
Yeah.
telling, is what. Or sorry,
Bad
well,
storytelling.
bad
Movie
storytelling in a movie.
Bad movie telling.
Yeah, well,
Now-
what I'm getting at is, I'm not expecting you to hold my hand throughout
Woman
the
make
movie.
baby. Man
I'm
make
not expecting you to hold my
make
hand throughout the... Okay, well, we lost 2 of 4 people here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I'm not expecting you to hold my hand throughout the movie, but I am expecting you to leave me at the end with a general idea of what's going on, and I did not get that. There was too much, okay, is this the reason why this is happening? Is this the reason why things are happening? Oh, I don't
Too
fucking
many
know.
questions,
There's
yeah.
too many questions than there are answers, and that's why... You know what?
do you think though that you're saying, oh, the thing is a mindless killing machine for the first half of the movie, and then all of a sudden you're like, it's got self-awareness? The fact that the alien has such a short life cycle, that it went from being a face hugger, being a little chest burster or whatever, to being a fully grown alien in the span of a day. Maybe it started out as a mindless killing machine, and now it's starting to get smarter. It's starting to learn.
These are just more questions that you're adding to the
Geometric
pot.
learning.
Yeah, you're
You
not
just
really
added another
solving.
question.
You're
no.
not
I'm
solving
just
the-
saying that's why, you're like, oh, it was a killing machine, and now it's starting to become smarter. That makes sense to me. That it's very young.
At the
and it's
last
just learning.
5 minutes of the movie. To me, that's kind of either some sort of plot device gone wrong, or...
They ran out of
Well,
money.
Yeah,
I agree.
Story writers wrote themselves into some sort of corner. It's
I
like,
never
how do we
said
get out of
the movie
this?
was perfect.
Oh, the alien has to get off the ship for the sequel. How do we do that? Well, let's have him take a nap. Fuck it.
Yeah. So when I said that I was giving this movie 5 stars, you know that I meant out of 10, right?
Nah.
It's a
Oh.
2.5.
We don't catch. We don't rate in 10s around here. You've been on the show enough.
Oh my god! And that's
So do you want my best and worst?
You may as well give your best at this point.
Okay, so yeah, it got a 3, so it means it did get a passing grade. There was some good to take from it. Like you guys said, I'm going to echo all your points here. The special effects were amazing. There were some really cool new concepts that at the time never were on screen like that before. The alien suit, period, was amazing.
Yes.
And if I were to take away one scene, because you want to call it a suspense horror thriller, it's where Dallas, the captain, he's in the vents, and they have the motion sensor at the one end, and he's got a flamethrower, and he keeps shooting off flames.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. Nothing there. And they're like, it's right behind you, Dallas. He
Yeah,
turns
yeah, yeah.
around, shoots a flame. You see the full alien. I'm getting chills, actually, just thinking about it.
It's right
there. And then they end it.
Yeah.
No more talking to Dallas after that. You know
Dallas,
what happens.
Dallas.
But then that also leads me into the bad. They don't really show anybody actually dying. It's kind of like, they're screaming, and then it ends.
It's kind of
and then
nice. Well, in this, it's
they'll have a little bit of alliteration where, oh yeah, I seen so-and-so, he's dead back there. It's a mess. It's like, well, why didn't you show us that mess? Why are you telling me about it? I don't know.
Because doesn't
I
your
don't like
mind make it seem worse in your head than what
Yeah.
it really would be?
It's the things you don't see.
And I think that's what this movie plays up on a lot.
Well,
is the
he's-
things you don't see.
That's
the
what
horror,
horror is.
the horror part for me is kind of the gore, the blood, the guts,
That's a slasher.
the
film.
gross me out.
That's not a horror film.
Anyways, I'm not going to get into what a horror film is for everybody else here, but for me, that's what it is for me. It's that shock, that awe, that gross, that,
So you
creepy
wanted it to be
feeling.
gorier.
Yeah, that's what I needed from this. So it was more of a sci-fi thriller for me, I guess, because you have the future, you have this new alien species. But yeah, there's just the bad stuff kind of sticks out more, like that sleeping alien at the end.
Oh,
I
that-
don't know.
oh, that
even
killed
before that, Ripley is running around. She's got the cat. She puts the cat down because the alien's there. Leaves the alien with the cat. Alien looks at the cat. They have a little moment. They look into each other's eyes. You're like, oh, that cat's dead.
Oh, you think?
Next scene. Oh, cat's still here. Picks it up. Like, hold on a second. So they ran by each other. Like, Ripley literally went back and forth. And at one point, she even had a nosebleed for some reason. And they never really explained that. Her nose is bleeding. I'm thinking, is it because she's really stressed? And then the robot guy comes over and he's like, hey, you're not supposed to be in here.
The android?
When she figures out the prime directive of Ash. And that's where I disagree with his admiration for the alien. It wasn't so much admiration. The prime directive of that alien species surviving was listed right there.
No, he says it
The
right
alien-
in the speech.
the
in his
alien-
monologue.
Well, either way, if he is a representation of Mother, and you look at that prime directive, there was 1 and 2. Number 1 was, we need to bring that back, that sample of that alien back
Yeah.
to Earth, no matter what, at any cost necessary. Crew is expendable. Well, at that point, you realize, okay,
Yeah, but
he's
Ash,
a dick.
Ash, they ask
androids
him,
are
they
always
say,
dicks
what
in
is
these
it? And he
movies.
says, I admire its efficiency, its unfeeling.
It's killing
perfect.
efficiency.
It's killing
yeah.
efficiency.
It's like he's
It's a perfect
he's-
killing
he-
machine.
Yeah, he looks at it.
And I
with
think
he is a science officer. Like he is an android, but he's also a science officer. He admires it for its purity.
He is also running off of prime directive. You have your 1s and your 0s. He's not going to break the 1 to get to the 0, so...
That is like the weirdest binary
Ones and
definition I've
zeros.
ever heard
Well,
somebody talk
I'm trying to
about.
break it down for people that
I get
aren't
it. You're saying
familiar
he could
with
have been.
hexadecimal or
You're saying
binary.
he could have been programmed. Programmed.
He
to,
was 100% programmed. He was following orders to a T from a directive that nobody knew about that was higher than everybody else.
But then
other
when
than
they
the science officer.
when they ask him why Ash, why did you do this? He could have just said because this is what I was built to do.
Anyways.
why go around it? Why build up on it? I thought it was just cool that they were two engineered beings.
So yeah, the third act was just more confusing than anything. Her random nosebleed, her running around in circles, the sleeping alien, the cat still alive. There was just, what is happening? And then that's how they leave the movie. It's just, what? And then aliens, sequel and franchise. So like, how did this actually happen? I don't know.
Well, for the time, it's a good movie. I mean,
yeah, I guess. I don't know. But that's why it gets a 3. I couldn't give it a 3.5 because that confusing shit at the end.
Did you like Aliens better than Alien?
I think so.
Awful.
I think most people.
You're a
do.
monster. and you
I
should
think
feel
it's
bad.
because of that. They played more on the sci-fi motif. Because if this one was edging the horror sci-fi, it didn't really nail the two of them together. And I find that the other one, they went full bore sci-fi.
Yeah, they did. That's exactly what
So
they
then
did.
there was no confusion. There was just like, this is what this is.
Everybody's like,
We are
"Well,
dealing
wanna
with
see the
different budgets,
alien."
though. So
Yeah,
it's
no,
hard
that's
to- it's
cool.
hard to compare.
And different directors.
I do
different
want to.
directors, yeah.
I do want to add though that scene that you described with Dallas, in the vents,
Yeah.
the occasional bursts of the fire.
Yeah.
That was one of my reasons why it does not get anything more than 3.5 out of 5 for me, because that scene where you finally get to see that alien and
Yeah.
it's literally a full scene. It's like, guy in a rubber suit. Yeah. Like, really? I don't even need to be
agree
told
with
that. And I knew it's like, oh, that's
I
a guy in
agree
a
that.
suit.
Dallas, I'm actually
That
just
ruined
a
it for me a
maintenance
little
worker.
bit. That took away from the mystique of what the alien represents, which is why I totally agree with JPar, which was the suspense of not showing me the entirety of the alien. No different than the gore, no different than... All of that I can let my mind take care of, right?
about that.
But I think that's a big part of the reasons why that scene in the vents did not impress me.
And that's where I disagree
right.
with the claustrophobic, because the scene where he was trying to find the cat, he looks up and they had the dangling wet chains.
That was awesome, man.
That was like
cool.
a 20-foot ceiling.
Well, yeah,
was
but did you
cool.
see the
So you
size of the
can't-
Nostromo? It's a huge ship
Well,
with a
there
massive
goes your
cargo.
confined
No, but
space,
where they... But,
most
but
areas.
where
But
they're
I
running
do
around
agree
in
with the.
corridors and
I'll
stuff...
let them finish.
Well, I'm just saying, when
I'm
they're
done.
running around in the corridors and stuff, they're very tight. But that ship is a mining ship, and they're bringing back ore. It's got huge cargo holds. And
They
stuff.
needed
it's an
to-
industrial ship.
And I'm glad that they showed. That's another good part is they showed that ship in its entirety.
Yeah, it
like
was
when
awesome.
like landing on the planet, leaving the planet, like exploding. Spoiler alert! They show that so you get a feel like a gauge.
Yes,
scope,
that's cool.
Yeah, of the size of the
I
ship,
agree.
which
They-
is very important because.
Yes.
I lost track of how big that ship was a few times.
it's
Because really, really small, and then all of a sudden, 20-foot ceiling, huge chains. Why are they wet?
I get the feeling that the places where the people move around
Why
on
are
the
they
ship
wet?
are very small.
Yeah, it was constant.
That was to
Amazing.
build. That was definitely to build
Uh,
more suspense because the aliens.
It needed to
slobber.
be wet. Yeah.
Whatever.
But I get the feeling that where the people normally move around and stuff is like just regular small human-sized corridors, and then for these holds, they need large machinery. They need large extraction machinery and stuff. So you have very large rooms.
Yeah, I'm
where they
not
can get
disagreeing
around.
with you. I'm just glad that they
But
showed that ship.
The nice thing
Because
about
I
this
got
whole-
confused. Because when they show the ship at first, it's like, okay, a little scene, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And then crazy, huge, and then really small. Huge, small. Like, what does this ship look like? And then they gauge it out again later on.
Sorry, I know you want to add something. I just want to ask one question. What is up with the landing gear? On that one landing gear apparently can't handle a single rock off at an angle, and all of a sudden they're landing. Their perfect landing on the planet was totally fucked up
Yeah.
because of one fucking rock where he was about to land.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little ridiculous. That was like, okay, you guys got this scientifically designed ship to travel the stars, land on planets, cast off on planets, and so on and so forth, and repetitively, I might add.
Yeah.
And it finds one rock. How does he not land properly anyway? I don't
It
get
was
that.
it was landing in stormy conditions though, like
Well,
low
that too.
visibility. And the thing actually that got me about that scene is the constant pinging. Bing, bing, bing,
Oh,
bing,
yeah.
bing, 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 and it goes on for like 5 minutes when they're landing. Like, Jesus, just land the ship, crash the thing or something. Just get it on the ground so you can stop that sound.
And I do want to add one last thing was the design of the computer systems. I'm sure anyone that understands the term DOS will know what I mean by this. Everything looks retro futuristic. It
Yeah.
looks like it could be old school, but a blend of, futurism, blended together. That was beautifully done, which was
Yeah.
copied into the video game Alien Isolation. They
Which was
replicated
awesome.
that. That was perfectly done. Sorry, that's all I want to say.
All right. Final comments. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up before we do final comments? I just wanted to say I agreed with you about the rubber suit. As awesome as the suit looks, that one scene where you finally get to see the full... It's probably the only scene where you see most of the alien. You definitely can tell it's a dude in
Yeah.
a suit. And I actually laughed when I saw that scene because it's like, surprise! He just puts his arms out.
That's how I put it back in the day. It was like, I'm here! It's like,
I
you
took
want
it completely different. It was the build-up, right? You had like you said, it had that, what is this alien? They show its mouth, like, coming out, like, the tongue within the tongue, killing people.
Yeah.
But you don't see the killing. And then all of a sudden you got your payoff. It was a good payoff for me, anyways, alone,
No,
apparently.
it looked great.
I liked it.
But you can still tell it's a dude in a costume.
It was just perfect. We had the constant flashes, like the flares from the gun, and it lights up, and then it's dark. Lights up, like he sees absolutely nothing, and then death.
Yeah.
And you know exactly what's happening, and that's it.
Given the build-up on that set of scenes, right up until Dallas's death, that was a perfect build-up. Even though I agree with Jay, the second you see the scene of the alien on screen for that brief moment, it threw me off. Because I myself was laughing. I do remember saying, like, why does he want to give him a hug? But that's the point, right? Is that it was supposed to be a shocking reveal, and then that's it. So I'm glad it worked for you. I'm sure it worked
did.
for me years ago, but now when I look
Yeah,
back,
well,
it's
you're
not
looking
quite the
back,
same.
like, you're looking back across, like, 20, 30 years, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, like, it's nice that they actually made the alien try to look as alien as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Because they could have taken the easy way out. Like, every alien in Star Wars is
Humanoid, yeah.
Every alien, and
This-
even worse in
This
Star
is a
Trek,
humanoid as well.
It's humanoid. But I mean, the head, the tail, the size
No, I mean
of
that
it
is
and
definitely
everything.
cool. Yeah.
But Star
Chewie's
Wars,
like 7
Star
foot two,
Wars
by the
is
way.
like chicks in green paint and dudes with weird eyelashes. Like it's a really, you know what I mean? They're all human.
Yeah.
Every-
Trek
no,
definitely goes.
This
that
one
route.
actually tries to make.
It looked very different.
Yeah, exactly. So while they had to have at least one scene where they could actually show you the alien so you knew what it looked like, but at the same time they spent as much time in the movie as they possibly could obscuring it so that you
Yes.
didn't realize that it was a guy in a rubber
Yes.
suit.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So, any more final thoughts? Clayton loves this movie. Go see it.
I can.
You need to see this movie.
Go
to,
see it.
I think you need to properly appreciate, or if you want to properly appreciate what the xenomorph was first, above all else, before aliens and everything following, you do need to see this movie.
Yeah.
It's
And
the
take a-
beginning of a franchise. You need to see how this movie lasted 30 years.
Yeah. Also, I want to mimic something that you said earlier. With all these sci-fi fantasy franchises out there, like Star Trek and Star Wars, this is one that's a sci-fi in space. That's more like a different take on it.
Yeah.
It's a thriller as opposed to
Yeah.
a fantasy adventure.
And while like Star Wars or Star Trek started its life as a serial TV show, and Star Wars started as
Movies.
like as the
Motion
movies
pictures.
there. Alien, I don't know that they ever thought they were going to make a sequel, so it wasn't designed with the future in mind. And even though the franchise has had like its ups and its downs, they've actually crafted quite an interesting universe. You know, like there's a lot of cool like mainstream things that you see from Alien now that they started, that they originated, like the Xenos and the face burst, like the chest bursters, the face huggers, and all the other stuff that goes along with that, right? The
builders,
and all that kind of stuff, and the idea of dirty space.
Dirty space.
Well, Star Wars is
that's gonna be the tagline. Dirty
you know what,
space.
You know what I mean? Like Star Wars is like kind of sanitized, and Star Trek
Until
even
you
worse.
get to the cantina.
There's no dirt. Yeah, there's no dirt on the floor or anything. But Alien is very much dark, tight spaces, fucking wet chains. You know, weird lighting.
They're so
and,
wet.
Like they're
This
minors.
also sounds like
they're minors in
a
space.
sex room
You know what I
setup.
mean? Everybody's
Well,
dirty.
it
It's
is
just
what
the-
you make of it, JPar, so we know where your head's at. And I agree
wet
with you.
chains,
Yeah.
tight spaces.
It's the dirty side. It's the unclean. It's
Yeah.
the part that
Yeah.
nobody talks about.
It's
It
the
makes it more
Blade
realistic.
Runner of space. Like,
Failure of human ingenuity is just
Yeah.
we don't see that. Star Trek is kind of like the pinnacle of human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can
And
do
this
it if
is
we
like
actually.
the
we're just
real-
scraping by.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we're
making
minors. Yeah, we want our pension. Like there was
Yeah.
a
Yeah, exactly.
constant feud
They're
with a
talking
couple of
about.
the
They
people.
talk about. Yeah, that's something.
They
that's
wanted a
pretty
pay
good.
raise
They
and
brought
things like
up
that.
their money.
Yeah.
They actually brought up the fact that this is a paying job.
Yeah.
That they wanted to be paid. That they were concerned. That they're regular guys who are that are concerned about how much they're going to get paid for checking out this distress beacon. These people are people.
Yeah.
They're not paragons of virtue. They're just regular working Joes.
All right.
Colors.
So sounds like they're saying check out this movie.
Yes,
That's exactly it.
No.
Awesome.
I mean, yes. Yes.
Mr.
All
Five
right.
Star says check it out.
All right, so if you want to hear more content like this or even just see our handsome faces, you can check us out on Late Night Tickets. We're on Channel 10 at 10 on Mondays on Eastlink. We're even on demand. You can always join the conversation with us on Twitter at We Promise Nothing, drop the G, and give us a big old like on Facebook because we like when you do that. And this video, make sure you subscribe, share, and leave a comment below. This is JPar signing out.
Clayton, going to buy a rubber suit.
Myles is gonna go take a nap in the space pod.
Dabu going bye-bye.
And if you disagree with anything we've said on the show here today, you can leave a comment below. But as always,
We promise nothing.
Good night.